Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going quite a way back, 85 years actually. We're dissecting a message from the past that feels surprisingly, maybe even uncomfortably relevant right now.
Yeah, we're looking at Charlie Chaplin's final speech from The Great Dictator. It's quite something, even now, from 1940.
Exactly. And our mission really is to see what this piece of, well, cinematic history can tell you, listening now, about navigating 2025. It's genuinely striking how, despite all the massive changes, technologically, socially, some core human problems just, well, they stick around. The speech hits hard right from the start, doesn't it? He says, unless we change ourselves individually and collectively, history will continue to repeat itself, and the way of life that could be free and beautiful will remain lost.
That sets the stage perfectly. So over this deep dive, we'll be getting into those core themes he raises. Greed and hate, how they endure. Also technology, this double-edged sword we're all grappling with. And, that constant struggle against division and control, it just takes new forms.
Okay, let's get stuck into that first point. Chaplin says, greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate. That's a really visceral way to put it. Thinking about 2025, how does this poison maybe manifest differently, perhaps more subtly than in his time?
Well, the mechanics have shifted, haven't they? In 1940, you had economic desperation fueling, well, aggressive nationalism, scapegoating.
Yeah.
Very overt stuff. Today, those dangers haven't vanished, obviously. But you also see greed operating through incredibly complex financial systems. Think about like globalized profit-seeking algorithmic trading, things that contribute to huge wealth gaps.
Yeah.
It's that same want amidst potential abundance Chaplin saw, just maybe more complex now.
That's a really sharp connection. And the barricade of hate, maybe it's not always state-sanctioned like back then, but that us versus them feeling, it seems incredibly persistent. Where do you see that division breeding today?
Oh, the internet, absolutely.
Yeah.
Social media, it's paradoxical, right? Meant to connect us. But it can be this incubator for prejudice, anonymity, algorithms feeding you what you already believe. Hateful ideas can spread like wildfire in these echo chambers. It erodes empathy. It's a kind of digital barricade, in a way.
Yeah, I see that. And fear seems to be the fuel, always. In 1940, it was fear of dictators, war, palpable threats. What fears are being weaponized now in 2025?
It's often fear amplified by the sheer volume of information, isn't it? And not always reliable information. Far from it. So anxieties about job security, social changes, threats, real or, frankly, manufactured, get blown up by media narratives, online stuff. It keeps us on edge.
Makes you vulnerable.
Exactly. Vulnerable to divisive talk, less likely to actually listen to each other.
Which brings me back to Chaplin saying the misery is the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. Has that bitterness gone? I mean, you look around, extremist groups, hate-fueled violence.
That's a key point. Progress isn't automatic, is it? Tech advances, economies grow, but that doesn't mean we automatically become, morally better. Those basic human tendencies, fear, resentment, they just adapt. They find new targets, new excuses. The bitterness might look different, but the toxicity, still there.
But he does offer hope. The hate of men will pass and dictators die. It sounds good, but how do we actually make it pass? How do we break that cycle?
Well, I think the key is understanding why hate and tyranny take root. Ignorance, inequality, not thinking critically. We have to actively fight those things. Dictators might fall, sure, but the potential for authoritarianism, it sticks around unless we build a society that really values empathy, education, democracy, actively values them.
And he says the power they grab will return to the people, and so long as men die, liberty will never perish. That puts the power back on us, doesn't it?
It really does. It highlights why things like, voting, staying informed, speaking out, why they matter so much. Liberty isn't just handed to you. You have to guard it, have the courage to challenge things.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Technology. Chaplin saw the airplane, the radio. He thought they'd bring us closer together. Fast forward to 2025. Instant global communication. And yet, that promise feels, well, pretty complicated now.
It's fascinating, isn't it? His almost utopian faith in technology back then. We have tools now he couldn't have dreamed of, connecting everyone instantly. But we're also dealing with huge social divisions, online fights. It just shows technology itself isn't good or bad. It's all about how we use it or misuse it.
Yeah. And that line, machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Wow. That really hits home today, doesn't it? We can technically solve so many problems, yet poverty, massive inequality, they're still right here.
And if you dig into it, sometimes the very systems designed for efficiency or profit, they actually make inequality worse. Automation taking jobs, tech wealth getting concentrated at the top. It's exactly that paradox. Abundance for some, want for others. Chaplin saw it coming.
And the feeling of being like hyper-connected but also lonely. He said, we have developed speed but shut ourselves in. We think too much and feel too little. That could have been written yesterday about scrolling through feeds.
It really could. And it makes you ask, what is all this constant digital noise doing to our ability to feel, to connect genuinely? Curated lives online, information overload. Does it make us detached? Does it chip away at empathy? It's a huge question.
Then there's the warning about machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. In 1940, that must have sounded like, science fiction, a metaphor.
Yeah.
But now, algorithms deciding what news you see, AI making decisions, it feels eerily close.
Yeah, and what's really worrying is how bias gets baked into these systems. If the AI learns from data that reflects our past prejudices, you can just amplify them. In hiring, loans, even policing, it's dehumanizing without anyone sort of intending it to be.
So the big question is, are we using these tools wisely? Are they serving us, our humanity, or are we kind of sleepwalking into letting them shape us, making us less human?
That's the constant check we need to do. Are ethics, human well-being driving tech development, or is it just innovation for innovation's sake, whatever the cost to our humanity?
In Chaplin's bottom line, more than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. It's simple, but profound. Progress without a moral compass
Is dangerous. Exactly.
Yeah.
Compassion, empathy, ethics, they have to be the steering wheel for all our cleverness. Otherwise, we lose our way.
Okay, let's talk about division and control. 1940, tyranny was blatant. Fascism, militarism. What about 2025? What are the maybe sneakier forms of control we should be aware of?
Well, the methods have definitely adapted to the information age. It's not always overt censorship, though that still exists, of course. Often it's more about flooding the zone with bad information, misinformation, disinformation, manipulating public opinion using, pretty sophisticated online tactics, psychological tricks almost.
Chaplin pleaded with the soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel. How does that regimentation happen now, even in societies that seem free?
It can be subtle. Think about those filter bubbles, echo chambers online. Algorithms feed you what you already agree with, so you're not exposed to different views. It reinforces your biases. It can lead to this kind of intellectual conformity where you don't even realize your thinking is being shaped, regimented. Dissent gets drowned out.
And dividing people is still the core tactic, right? Back then, it was radio speeches, rallies, whipping up hatred. Now
It's algorithms designed for maximum engagement, which often means maximum outrage. They thrive on conflict.
Right.
So they amplify divisions, political, ideological, whatever works. The goal is the same. Weaken unity, make it harder for people to see their common ground and work together.
Yeah.
Classic divide and conquer, just gone digital.
Chaplin talks about the fight for slavery versus the fight for liberty. What does that fight look like today? What are the modern slaveries, the modern liberties we fight for?
That's a great question. Today, liberty might mean fighting for, say, digital privacy against surveillance, or the freedom to access reliable information. And modern slavery, maybe it's fighting against economic systems that trap people in poverty, or laws that systematically disadvantage certain groups, fighting for real opportunity, real autonomy.
And we can't forget, there are still places with actual dictators, actual prisons full of people jailed for their beliefs. Chaplin's fight isn't ancient history.
Absolutely not. It's crucial to remember that. Complacency is dangerous. The struggle against tyranny, overt or subtle, is very much ongoing. It's global.
Chaplin said, dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. It suggests their power isn't absolute. It depends on us.
It does. Ultimately, oppression relies on people accepting it, being silent. Resistance matters, even small acts. Refusing to be silenced, refusing to go along. That's where the people's power lies.
Which leads us nicely into this idea of the unfinished fight for freedom and dignity. It's a long arc, isn't it? From World War II trenches to, protests in cities today.
Yeah, and what's amazing is the sheer resilience, the desire for freedom, for justice. It just keeps coming back generation after generation. People find new ways to fight for it, adapting to whatever the challenges are.
And that powerful line, liberty will never perish if people fight for it. It's not guaranteed.
Exactly. It's not something you inherit passively.
Yeah.
Each generation have to earn it, defend it, through courage, staying watchful, standing up for basic rights.
So when you look at the big struggles of 2025, corruption, climate change, inequality, discrimination, are these all part of that same fight Chaplin was talking about?
I think so, absolutely. They're different fronts, maybe, but the core battle is the same. fighting for a world where everyone is treated with dignity, where resources are shared fairly, where people can actually flourish. The principles haven't changed.
But the battlefield has, maybe. It feels like so much of the fight now is about information, about changing minds, challenging whole systems.
Definitely. It's often a battle of ideas now.
Mhm.
Countering manipulation, promoting critical thinking, that's crucial work.
And often the enemy isn't one dictator, but maybe a biased system or just ingrained prejudice.
Precisely. And tackling those systemic issues, those deep-seated attitudes, that takes time. It takes collective effort. And it takes facing some uncomfortable truths.
It's a long history, this fight. Lots of victories, but plenty of setbacks, too.
That's how progress works, isn't it? It's not a straight lineup. It's messy. Constant effort is needed. We can't just win once and relax.
And Chaplin's vision, that new world with jobs, security, dignity, that still feels like something worth striving for in 2025, maybe more than ever.
Oh, absolutely. That dream of a just, equitable world, it's still the driving force behind so much positive change. It reminds us what's possible if we aim for the common good.
So the big question, how do we actually break these cycles? Greed, hate, fear, division. How do we stop history repeating itself, like Chaplin warned?
Well, his answer really comes down to the individual heart. It starts inside each of us. He says, you have the love of humanity in your hearts. He believed in our capacity for good.
So it's like an inner revolution needed. Fighting cynicism, choosing empathy over apathy, understanding over fear, generosity over grabbing everything for yourself.
That's it, exactly. Our outward progress, all the
Yes.
tech, all the systems, it's not enough if our inner lives, our consciousness doesn't keep pace. We need to consciously nurture our shared humanity, feel connected.
He talked about universal brotherhood. Sounds a bit old-fashioned maybe, but the idea of global connection, seeing ourselves as one human family.
It's not just idealistic talk anymore, is it? In our world, interconnected like never before, it's actually a practical necessity. Our survival, our well-being, depends on recognizing that shared humanity and acting with compassion.
Can you imagine if all our science, our technology, our governments were genuinely guided by conscience, aimed at lifting everyone up?
That's the potential, isn't it? That's the hopeful path Chaplin pointed towards, using our incredible ingenuity for the good of all, driven by empathy, by justice.
And we can change. He reminds us of that. Humanity has overcome huge challenges before. Wars end, reconciliation happens.
Right. History isn't just doom and gloom. It also shows our capacity to learn, to heal, to choose a better way when we collectively decide to.
And he ends with that incredibly powerful call. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful. It puts the responsibility squarely on us.
It does. History isn't just made by famous leaders. It's made by billions of small choices, everyday acts of courage, of kindness. That's where the real power lies.
But the warning is there too. If we don't change, if we don't learn, we risk reliving the worst parts of the past.
The stakes are incredibly high. We ignore that warning at our peril. The suffering Chaplin saw. We owe it to ourselves, to future generations, to try and break that cycle.
More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. That feels like the absolute core message, especially for today.
It truly is. Without those qualities, all our progress, all our cleverness could end up being meaningless, even destructive. He saw that so clearly.
So as you, listening, take this message from 85 years ago into your life today, think about your part. It really does boil down to individual choices, individual responsibility, and holding on to that hope that lives in each of us. As Chaplin urged, let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. In the name of democracy, let us all unite.
Yeah, and maybe leave you with this thought. How do your actions, even the small ones, day to day, how do they either echo those old patterns of greed and division, or actually help build that free and beautiful world Chaplin dreamed of? One thing from his message really hit home for you today. And maybe, just maybe, what's one small thing you might do differently after thinking about all this?